Our guest today is Mark Gonzalez, District Attorney, Nueces County, and I did a little bit of research on your story, and man, you have a pretty amazing story. And the first time we actually ran into each other was through a Rotary event, and prior to that, I didn't have any interest in like what was going on in the city, and I think that by you know going that direction with wanting to improve the city and making sure that your voice is heard, you actually created a lot of attention for people like myself and this ordinary individuals to take an interest in what the city is starting to do. So I want to thank you for that, because now I'm like really involved in what the city's doing. How are they spending the money? How are they positioning the city council? And it's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. Uh, Going back to some of your background, I'm curious to know uh, the young Mark Gonzalez. You
I'm
know,
still young, man.
well, that's the. Let me rephrase that. The young mindset Mark Gonzalez.
I'm still a young
Oh,
mind.
okay, okay.
Yeah. So to be honest with you, man, the crazy part is I had no interest either. I was probably like most people, still sitting watching, or people you interact with all the time. That I had no interest in whether it was politics or the infrastructure that we live in, or who's actually making the decisions until it affected me personally. Right?
Yeah,
Whenever either I was number one, became part of the criminal justice system, or number two, whoever was in charge did, kind of impacted how much money I made, the decisions that were going to be handed down to my clients.
mm,
So it's kind of crazy the Mark Gonzalez I am here today.
yeah,
I'm wearing a shirt. It has a logo. I came from work today. I got a badge. Like, I'm
yeah,
official.
yeah.
It wasn't always like that. And I think the Mark Gonzalez, um, that, the young mindset was just, an optimistic one. Somebody that's always
Mm,
said, you know what, like, why not?
yeah,
Let's try. Trust me, man, I have failed at more things than I can never say that I succeeded at.
yeah.
But one thing that I've always done, man, is always at least tried and said, hey, let's give it a try. All you could do is lose and learn,
Mm.
or and learn from that. So I mean, that
Yeah,
was kind of my mindset from day one.
yeah. I came across I think it was on the Washington Post, and to get recognized on the Washington Post is I mean I could just imagine how you felt. Like, what the heck, the Washington Post? Because it's not the Caller Times. It's Washington Post is ran by uh you know it's ran by people that run the world, and so you were actually being showcased on that, and it actually shared a part of your story from when you're 18. Tell us about like how that happened.
So, well, that's what I was kind of going to, or hinting to previously.
Yeah.
I never really knew. I didn't have any college graduates in my family. I
Mm,
think one of my aunts was a teacher. And I didn't know any judges. I didn't know anybody, and so I got arrested one night. And so one of my buddies played football there in Kingsville. I lived in Corpus, and I lived with my mom. She enrolled me at Texas A&M, and so I was going to school there.
mhm.
So I went to a party in Kingsville, and I made a mistake. I got really intoxicated, and I drove where I was staying that night, and I got arrested. So about 60 to 90 days later, I get a letter in the mail, and I don't know what to do. It says you have court this day. It was pretty traumatic going to jail, but now it's like, what am I gonna do? So I told my mom, like, she says, "Mijo, I'll go with you, and if you plead guilty, they'll be nice to you."
Yeah.
You know what? That makes sense. And so I went. I didn't get railroaded. I got the deal that everybody gets, that who they take their mother. But there was a Navy pilot there. So he was a white dude, white lawyer, white judge, and his case got dismissed. He had was accused of exactly what I had done, except that I was taking my mom. This dude brought his lawyer, and
Yeah.
so right there, that's when the light went off in my head, and I was like, you know what? I want to try to be a lawyer. I didn't know how to be a lawyer. There was no the way things are now, where you can just Google,
Yeah.
everything. And so I got through. I graduated from A&M, and I got into law school. I got through there, which was another story.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I took the bar. That was another story.
Yeah.
3 times. 1 point I passed, and so then I became a lawyer. And
Yeah.
so crazy. It's crazy that I get to tell this story. It's crazy that the story's true. It's
Yeah.
never thought I would be having these conversations or doing the work that I've been able to do.
Yeah. So how did that transition? Because I know you went from hitting rock bottom to saying, okay, man, now I got to charge on my case. I gotta make something of my life, to becoming a lawyer. And now it's like, okay, now you got to kind of, you gotta change your ways. You gotta change your habits, because you can't, lawyers can't live that reckless habit. I mean, there's some that probably do, and they're not very successful, but you made a decision, say, you know what, I gotta drop these habits. How did that change, and how did you say, okay, well, how do I develop my mindset? Because I mean, you can go to law school and pass the test, but you still have to develop your mindset. How did you develop your mindset?
Yeah. So law school teaches you nothing about, number one, being a businessman.
Yeah.
Law school teaches you nothing about, number two, about being a good lawyer, because you can be the greatest law student and come out and really suck at both of those things.
Yeah.
And there are many lawyers in town that aren't great businessmen, and number two, they're not great lawyers. To be honest with you, which is sad.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I started to realize, I was young when I became a lawyer. I was 25 years old when I got licensed, and I was thought, all right, man, I'm this lawyer, I'm a big shot, blah, and it wasn't like that, because here I was, a young kid, and I had to sell myself so
Yeah.
people would entrust me when their life was on the line. Like, imagine, hey, I'm accused of murdering somebody, and I'm gonna let this 25-year-old kid and give him all this money so he can put my life on the line.
Yeah.
How to sell myself. And the way I figured I would sell myself is having great results in the courtroom. And I started to realize that you can't have great results if you're coming into work hungover. Your clients aren't going to respect you if you smell like alcohol or if you don't look professional.
Yeah.
And so those were the things I really had to change, because I'm still young, right? And I still wanted to do all those things that I used to do when I wasn't a lawyer, but it wasn't going to be good for business.
Yeah.
And if you weren't, and if you're not going to have a great business, then what are you really doing?
Yeah.
You can't impact people, you can't provide for your family. And so that started to click rather early. At least I'm glad it did, rather than later.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of lawyers I know, man. They're still out there who, showing up. You see them in the elevators, and you're like, "Dang, bro,
Yeah.
what y'all do last night?" So it's there's still, and that's probably in every aspect, in every business out there. You really got to decide what's important.
That's kind of, they kind of give the good lawyers, a bad name, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So did you have any mentors growing up?
The sad part that I will say is that I didn't have any real mentors, man. Everything was, I really wish I did, but when I came to town, it was I knew a few. I didn't know any judges, right? I didn't know any lawyers. And so when I came to town from San Antonio, where I went to law school at, it's kind of like the new kid on the block, and I would just hang out in courtrooms and just watch the good guys, watch the bad guys, learn from both of them, learn what not to do, learn what to do. But I didn't have anybody that used to come and take me under my wing and say, look, I'm going to show you what to do or what not to do. I've gotten some great friends along the way. And I have a few guys that I would probably say they were like my mentors, but not when I first started out. Once I already had started kind of developing myself and a name for myself. Yeah. But one thing that I do know is that I want to be a mentor for those people that don't have that coming up. Like right now, my nephew's a second-year law student there at St. Mary's. He got into where I got in. And when he comes out, man, I want him to know everything that I knew.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that way he doesn't have to be scared or worried. Dude, I used to go into courtrooms and not doing it before and being like, dude, what the hell am I going to do? Like, I don't know how to do this. Yeah. I'm scared, and people are going to think that I'm dumb and I'm not smart. And so I would just go in there and give it my best. And sometimes a lot of times I make mistakes. Sometimes I get yelled at by judges and like, what are you doing? You know, but I learned. And I never forgot those lessons because they were hard learned. But I really want to help like my nephew who's going to come out and kind of pave the road, you know, that I had to kind of lay down.
Yeah. When did the tattoos come into play?
You know, for me, it was really good for business, right? Because think about it. Like, I mean, where I'm from,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
the more tats you got, the more street cred you got, right?
Yeah.
Like my whole family, dude, we're covered. I mean, like, just normal for us, you know? But I really realized that it was good for business whenever I would meet with the client and they saw that I was just like them. And I really am, to be honest with you. You know, they may have made some bad decisions. It doesn't mean they're technically all bad people, but sometimes they make bad decisions. And I know that many a times I could have been in that spot, or my family members could have been in that spot. And so we really would connect. And then they would see that I had ink and they had ink. And so they kind of felt like I wasn't judging them. They weren't judging me. I wasn't above them. We're on an equal field. And to me, that was really good for business, you know? And so as the years gone, I mean, I've just gotten more and more, and I haven't stopped. My wife's like, will you just stop already? Yeah, enough's enough. But I don't know, man. I think it's something I like. I love tattoos. I think they're beautiful. You know, it shows where you're from, stories. So even the shitty ones I got, you know, I still
like those. What was your first tattoo?
Dude, honestly, I was 15 years old. My dad took me to the Trade Center here in Corpus, in Big Man, who has fat tats, did Jesus. They're just like right on my arm. I've had other artists do stuff, and they're like, "Hey, you want me to touch up Jesus?" I'm like, "Nope, don't, leave it alone, dude." So I was 15, man. That was my birthday gift. My dad took me.
I think probably what's the Big Man probably tattooed everybody in Corpus when they're 15. I think I got a couple of tattoos. That's
dude, I
great.
thought it was the coolest thing too. I went to school, you know, I was like, check it out. Even funnier, a lot of people don't know this, but I actually got a brand on my stomach before I got my first tattoo.
A brand like that for the cows?
Yeah, man. Dude. So me and some buddies, we went out with my dad camping, and I live with my dad. That's why Will's wild, dude. Like I live with my pops from when I was a freshman in high school until, you know, he kicked me out to go to college with my mom after I graduated. And it was like Lord of the Flies, dude. Like literally, he worked nights, shift work. I mean, so we always could do whatever we wanted. Sorry, that's good cola right there.
Okay.
But anyways, we went to Gardner State Park, and we all took hangers. And we all made, you know, whatever we were going to burn into each other. And we drank some beer. And the next day, my dad was so mad. But yeah, that was my first, like, I guess, piece of body art, if you want to call it. But
what was the brand? Like, what was the symbol?
It's an M for Mark.
Oh, okay.
Hey, mine came out good, though, which I'm happy about. Some of my buddies to this day, if you look, it's all messed up. Like, scarred all messed up. So.
Zach, so how did the tattoos came into play? You got your career going. How did the motorcycles come into that? Like, because it seemed like that was like a big deal, dude. Like whenever like basically what you did was you disrupted the system, and what you did was you said, you know what? And I'm curious to know what that night was like when you thought about running, or how it, like I see you said, if I'm running for DA, but what you did was you actually disrupted the system, because a lot of the old DAs or judges or whatever, they kind of didn't really have to market anymore. They kind of knew what to do, and they kind of already had. They were kind of just being lazy about it. You came in disrupted with the tattoos, and then they try to use the affiliation of the motorcycle, huh?
Yeah, they try to use it as a negative, but it really bit them in the butt, you know. And it kind of made even the tattoo thing. If you ask me, that was just not a good move or a smart move when they try to go negative on all the tattoos and all the bike stuff. Because, dude, everybody has a tattoo, or they're look at all the moms, right? Mijo has tattoos. Are you talking about my Mijo? You know, so. It really worked out against them, if you ask me, and not in their favor. But to go back to talk about, you know, the bike thing, Dude, I've loved motorcycles my whole life, man.
Mm.
Since you see La Bamba, I got Bob tattooed right there,
Yeah.
and that's what made me want to get a bike. And even when I was in college here at A&M, I used to work at the Irv Honda Thomas Honda, and
Okay.
I used to bust wrenches, bust knuckles over there, doing like oil changes
Uh,
and putting the accessories and stuff. And that's what I did. I worked there, and then I would go to school all day.
yeah.
Kind of helped to even me out, man. Work out all your frustrations
Yeah.
and your ass off at the bike shop, and then studying and going to school all day. And so I was I'd always had motorcycles, and then my uncle was a calavera. He still is to this day, my uncle
Okay.
Hippie. And I had represented people accused of things, and the main founder had said, we want you guys, maybe you could help some of our guys out. And so that's how I got to meet them. And then as I was representing them, then I became a member, and then I'm still a member
Yeah.
of Calaveras. And so, but I agree with you. I think that the sensationalism of a DA, which is unheard of, that you have any, like a Hispanic DA,
Yeah.
at least, there's not many of them. And women of color is even less.
Yeah.
But a Hispanic DA who has a lot of tattoos like I do, and then even rides a motorcycle. I mean, I think that was the reason it made stuff like the Post and whatever other publication I may have got attention to, just because of that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I wouldn't have had tattoos or been a biker, they probably wouldn't even have made any kind of report or anything.
Yeah.
But they did, and I have a platform now, and so I need to definitely try to use it and use it to the best of my ability to make some of the
Yeah.
changes that I think are appropriate.
Yeah. I think that some people might kind of get a sense that your job is kind of easy, and but the way I see it, by reading everything that you've been through, and a lot of the articles, I think you probably have it you know tougher than a lot of the people in the courthouse, because for one, you're Hispanic, the tattoos, you probably have some trust issues because of the bike association. And so now they're probably like looking at everything you do, hoping that screw up, or they're trying to wait to think if you're maybe like a fake, like, oh well, he's, what, we knew he was fake. But I think that puts more pressure on you to just be more genuine, more transparent, because you don't come across as someone that's faking it.
I get blamed for everything, which is the crazy part. I don't know if you saw the yesterday, these young kids were driving around, and the
Oh yeah, I
troopers,
saw that.
and it's all on Facebook Live, right? And then so Channel 6 shares it, and then someone tags me, and they're like, I would guarantee that the DA is the one that made sure those bonds were low because they're friends of his, or they're from Brobe or something. I'm not even from Robstown, but and I'm like, the reality is a lot of people don't know the legal system or the justice system, and the reality is my office does not set bonds. That's just something that we don't do.
Yeah.
Magistrates and judges set bonds, but nobody knows that. But who are they going to blame for everything? Of course, the DA's office. And so it's stuff like that, and it happens every single time, every single day. And don't get me wrong, there are going to be some times when it is on me, and maybe I did something that you weren't happy with. But I'll definitely take ownership of those ones. But for the most part, man, I'm always in trouble, or it's always my fault. And that's just an example of what happened, at least to me today. I'm fighting with people on Facebook saying, "Hey, I ain't the one," But
yeah. Well,
it's part of the job.
Yeah, that's just, that goes back to just people not really knowing how the system works, and I mean, when they think of the courthouse, I mean, first people that come to mind is you and Barbara Canales. Like, no, I don't know anybody else that works. I mean, but that's just because y'all are in the media, y'all interact,
Right.
y'all are just like, y'all are very transparent, and so when people think of who to blame, oh well, we can only blame these two because they're the only ones that we know that work there. But I'm pretty sure there's a lot of other people, that judges that don't even have a Facebook, that are responsible for a lot of stuff.
And you're right. One of the main things that I wanted to do was be visible, right? And transparent's a word we like to use, but visibility is something that I strived for, because before I became the DA, not many people knew who the DA
Yeah.
actually was. And so it was funny because like I go to the HEB on Port because it's on the way home from the courthouse, and I always
Yeah.
go there. I've been going there since I started working at the courthouse. And for the first 6 months, even a year, everyone would come up to me and be like, "Hey, Judge, how's it going, man? Dude,
Yeah.
glad you got elected. Hey, man, Judge." And I'm like, "I'm not a judge. I'm actually the district attorney, but thank you so much for the support." And then like after 6 months, they would be like, "Hey, Judge," I'd just be like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" Because I just got tired of explaining it.
Yeah.
But it really made me realize that not too many people knew what the DA actually did. And I think that's one thing that I still strive for today, is to make sure that we educate the public,
Yeah.
let them know what a district judge does, what a county judge does,
What
what
is the
Barber.
difference? What is the difference?
Okay, so a district judge, they're in charge of all the felony cases, right?
Okay.
They're kind of the higher level type of crimes. Also, they do family law.
Okay.
And the county courts, those are your lower crimes, your misdemeanors, right?
Okay.
DWI, possession of marijuana, thefts, assaults, and then they do some civil cases as well. And so those are the difference. So when you have a judge, everyone's a judge, even down to the JPs. Think about they're judges as
Oh
well.
yeah. Yeah.
So JPs don't hear any type of cases where you can even go to jail. Those are all like moving violations, maybe evictions, civil cases, stuff like that. So you have 3 different types of judges, and then you have Judge Canales, who is kind of like the mayor, but she's still called the judge of the county. You know what I mean? And so those are 4 different judges.
Does she see cases?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
she doesn't. But she's actually a lawyer, so she
Okay.
actually, I want to say, could, if there was some kind of emergency, she would still be able to actually hear a criminal case. Like in smaller jurisdictions, I think everybody knows where San Diego is, right? Or the county judge over there actually doesn't have to be a lawyer, and the one doesn't hear, but he hears cases over there, even though he's not a lawyer. One of them for a long time was a superintendent, and he was the county judge. He did what Judge Canales does here, but he also heard criminal misdemeanor cases. So it's wild that populations dictate the laws and the rules and everything like that. So there's 4 different kinds of judges, and most people wouldn't even know that.
Yeah. So you do more like the higher, like the criminal felonies.
So my jurisdiction for the district attorney's office is all criminal cases here in Oasis County. We have felonies all the way up to capital murder, all the way to regular felonies, like a state jail, which is like possession of cocaine. Then we have all the misdemeanor cases. Misdemeanors are anything from DWIs to thefts. All of those are my jurisdiction. I decide what's going to happen to those cases. And then we also have the JP courts. So like if a trooper gives you a ticket, chances are you got to go out to Agua Dulce or to a JP in Bishop or Driscoll. My lawyers handle those cases. But if a city cop gives you a ticket, those aren't mine. Those belong to the city of Corpus Christi, and those are municipal judges.
Yeah. So how would you rate our crime rate in Corpus? Because I know it's something that we don't really talk about. Like,
so one thing that I'll tell you, that as I've become the district attorney, I've tried to educate myself on all types of aspects regarding the criminal justice system. And what I've learned is that there are so many things that impact crime rates. Crime rates can go up or down for no reason. Crime rates can go up based on economy, based on all kinds of factors that we don't really know. But one thing, it could be policing. Do we have more officers in that area? And if we have more officers in this area, does that mean is crime going to pick up in another part of the city? All those things, there are studies that have influence. I will tell you, though, that the crime rate has actually been up this past year, not since the coronavirus has actually occurred. Crime has been at an all-time low with the coronavirus going on. The jail is actually, population is at one of the lowest it's been in years. People are actually staying home, and so if you're staying home, you're not committing as many crimes. But prior, the crime rate had been up, and even the murder rates have been a little bit higher. And it's been a little different because the trend nationally is that crime rate has actually been going down. And so Some people can say that might be my fault, and if it is, then I'll take ownership. But like I said, there can be so many things that impact driving crime rates up or driving them down. It could be policing, it could be economics, it could be the way the courts are handling the things that we're doing, all types of things. But I would say crime definitely is probably at a little higher than normal at this time.
Yeah. Are like the murder rates like published, or that's something that?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
So everything is published. Everything is reported. So there's actually a website that you can go to. I want to say it's the Office of Court at the Office of Court Administration. And it has statistics on every single county. If you want to look up Corpus, you can look up Corpus and Nueces County and cases. You can look up Alice, Jim Wells County cases, San Diego, Duval County and cases. It'll tell you every murder, all the kind of cases, the murders. Think of any case you want to hear about. Aggravated sexual assaults, burglaries, robberies. I mean, you name it. You can look up any type of crime. You can find out how those cases were resolved. I mean, it's a pretty impressive reporting system that that Texas actually has.
Yeah. I want to go back really quick and get your mindset during this time. So, you finish college, you finish law school, you come back, you said, okay, change of mindset, open the law office. Now you're starting to figure out the system. You're starting to figure out communication skills. You're starting to figure out business skills. And so tell me about the night or the day or when you decided to run for the DA. Because that wasn't just like something random, or was it random? But it's kind of like a big, like, oh shoot, like I think I want to do this.
So, I mean, I never wanted to be the district attorney. Like, I never wanted to. And I think that's one of the reasons that I kind of glad that I am the district attorney, and kind of a reason why I think I hope to win again in this next coming election, because I really don't want to be the district attorney. Like, I'm like having all the power and all that. That's not one of the things that drives me to do the job that I do. Yeah. But I really ran to be the district attorney because no one else was going to. I'm like, who's going to run to be DA? I was tired the way things were actually going. I wasn't happy with the current DA, and no one was going to run. And so I talked to my friends.
Hold on, okay. So the DA that you ran against, did he just kept being the same DA, or like it was the same person prior to you?
No, he had been in the office. So you had Carlos Valdez, who's now Judge Valdez.
Oh, okay.
He was the DA for a very, very long time. I want to say almost 20 years or maybe 25 years.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
And I was a young defense attorney when he was still in office, and I never had any real issues with him or any of the things. And then once he stepped down or stepped away, I want to say he left for the city attorney. And then the governor, I think, appointed another district attorney, Miss Jimenez, and I didn't have no issues with her. And then Mark Skirka beat her in the election, and so he was there. And then those last couple of years, I just was not happy with the offers that I was getting, the way that I felt that my clients are being treated. And so I wanted to make a change, and I really hoped somebody else was going to do it, but no one decided to run. And I told myself, like, I can't just I was making good money, dude. You know what I mean? But I couldn't just make money and not make a difference or a change. So I said, look, if I'm not going to do it, no one else is going to do it. And I can either gripe about it or I could do something about it. And so I said, I'm going to run, and my buddy, Matt, he was my associate at that time. He's like, bro, why do you want to run for DA? And I told him, like, I don't know, man, but if I don't do it, who else is gonna run? And so
who gets credit for wrapping that bus?
I'm gonna say, you know what? It was I thought of how did we come up with that? So what I really wanted to do was an 18-wheeler. My thing was I wanted the bed of an 18-wheeler with my whole thing on it, right? And then I wanted to park it like at the Trade Center on the weekends. then drive it around town or park it in a field here and just, and then I said, hey, does anybody have any, a trailer that we can
Yeah.
actually wrap? And then a buddy said, man, I don't have a trailer, but I got some old buses. And I was like, dude, even better. We can wrap the buses. We can drive them around. We can drive people around them. I said, this is genius. And so we wrapped the buses. And so I want, that's probably a collaborative idea, but definitely it worked, man. Dude, that bus got a lot of attention. Even got towed like during the election. That was the best $300 that I had to pay to get it out of Apollo Towing. But man, it made the news that night. It made the news in the morning. So that was definitely just thinking outside the box.
And so the bus thing is a hit. You kind of feel more confident that, hey, you know what, I might end up winning this thing because I'm creating a lot of disturbance, getting a lot of attention. This negative energy is actually promoting me in a positive way because more people are taking attention to me. How did you? Okay, you won your spot. How did you decide how you were gonna implement your game plan? Like, how did that strategy?
A lot of the times we were shooting from the hip, man. We didn't have high-paid consultants. We didn't have a lot of money. One thing we did have was social media. One thing we did have was trying just to spread the word and using whatever we could. But a lot of times it was just hit and missing and shooting from the hip. This next go around, I'm going in feeling more confident, not because I think I'm going to win. I mean, I hope I'm going to win. I think I am. But I'm going in a lot more confident because I've done it before. I know what it takes to run a campaign. I know what I think I want to do regarding whether it's my communications or media or anything else. And so I'm starting off at least feeling a little bit more confident because I've been through, a general election and a primary before.
So how did y'all come up with the strategy? Because I know whenever you got into, do you say like office, when you got into office, like you kind of changed I wouldn't say you changed the law, but you kind of changed the punishment on certain misdemeanors, right? I know one of them was like, they made a big deal about the marijuana thing, about you weren't going to get jail time. It was going to be a fine. How did that whole strategy come out? Do you have to have your strategy before you go into your position?
Yeah. So you want to have sort of like a transitional time or a transition team or a transition strategy. But it's really hard because until you take office, January 1st and you get sworn in, you really have no authority and you really have no power. And so it's not like I was really chummy or cool with the guy that was going out of office, right? And so it's not like he was saying, hey, I'm not going to run anymore. Come on in and make yourself at home. This is what I suggest you do, and this is how we do things. So it wasn't really like that. So it was hard to actually kind of take over, and you can't take over until day one. And then you say, okay, what do I have here? And what I really realized or found out quickly was that the DA has a lot of power. Because if I want to not prosecute, marijuana anymore, I don't have to. And that was a trick to me. When I looked at Matt and I was like, dude, we can fix this whole thing with the stroke of a pen, or we cannot do these things that affect, low economic areas or people of color or people that never had a voice. We can change that immediately. And so one of the things was learning that we had that power, and then how to, obviously implement it with as much responsibility as possible. So that way we don't impact our community adversely, And so some of the things that we've done, such as our cite and release program, which has been up and going, those are people who haven't been going to jail, for committing low-level type offenses. And I think we would all agree in the public, it doesn't make us any less safer if those people who don't belong in jail don't go to jail. And the offset, we save the county money. They're not getting beat up in jail. We're not paying for their medical bills, and we're saving tons of money because we don't have to house them. And so there are trade-offs like that. And a lot of times we have to find that common ground. Like for me, it's making sure that people who don't belong in jail don't go to jail. But for my counterpart, somebody who may be a Republican or very physically conservative may say, you know what, we're saving the county how much? $1 million. Well, shoot, sign me up. Oh,
Yeah.
these guys don't got to go to jail. Well, that's cool because I'll take the money.
Yeah.
So it's finding that common ground. But transition was one thing that took a long time to learn. I've also learned in the government, man, if you want something done, it ain't overnight.
Yeah.
If you want to budget a change, or you want to try to get some money for an employee or a position or a grant, I mean, everything takes so long, just as it does in the criminal justice system.
Yeah.
You commit a crime, think about it. You're not going to go to court for a year sometimes.
Yeah.
And that's just the system that we work in and that we have to deal with,
Yeah. I can see how that can be very frustrating. Like it's kind of like they hire you to run a kitchen, right? But the old chef just leaves and doesn't tell you where anything's at. He doesn't tell you what. And so he's like, "You want it? You figure it out."
Yeah. Hey, and they get the good knives in the box that says forks.
Oh man, dude. Man, I there's a lot of stuff, man. Is there anything that I'm missing? Tell me. I mean, I don't know.
Bro, we're just talking.
Yeah. So, tell me your first introduction to the to the arm bar.
So, dude, honestly, I represented a buddy of mine on a DWI, and in the DWI picture or the video, bro, he was big. And when we actually went to trial, I was his defense attorney. He was slim, bro. And I was like, dude, what happened? He's like, I've been going to jiu-jitsu. Yeah. He's like, you should come check it out, man. It's a week free, and so I said, all right, dude, he looked good, So I was like, I'll go check it out. And so it's good when you know somebody, a friend. And so I went and I met the guys, and I've been there ever since, man, since 2011. Nice. Since I've been the DA, I've been there probably more continuously. I try to go at least 3 or 4 times a week since I've been the DA. But prior to that, when I was in private practice, I was all over, Nueces, Jim Wells, Duval, Clayburgh. So it was really hard to go 2 or 3 or more times a week. But I can tell you that, man, jiu-jitsu has been something that has helped me both mentally and physically for all the stress that I got to deal with every day. 9 out of 10 times I'm the nail. Like that's just the way it's going to be. I'm getting hammered. But I enjoy it, man. So shout out to my boys there, Gracie Bada, Professor Leo, and Arnold. Man, I can't wait. It's been a month since I've been in class, and that's how I got into my first arm bar, dude.
Yeah. I think one thing about the jiu-jitsu is like it's kind of like tattoos, and I'll tell you why. Because if you go one time and you're like, man, I want to go back, but then once you go back, like you're like, man, it gets addictive because it's so relaxing, because it kind of puts you in a different mindset, because it takes you away from everything going on, because you're like in the zone.
That's what I tell everyone. I said, whenever you're in that, whenever you're rolling or you're on the mat, you can't be anywhere else. You can't be thinking about work. You can't be because you got somebody who's trying to rip your arm off or choke you. It's the freest that you'll ever be. Some people say, I feel that way when I paint. I don't think about nothing else when I do except painting, right? Or when I jam music. I'm not thinking about work. And for me, I can tell you, I relate to that through jiu-jitsu, man, because you can't think about anything else besides, getting choked by some dude who's going to rip your head off or your arm or whatever else. So, I totally get exactly what you're saying, man. That's the truest statement you could have said, I know, at least to me.
Yeah. I mean, and the time goes by so fast, because you'll be training, you'll be rolling, and before you know it, 3 or 4 hours will go by, and you're like, dang, like, and you feel good about it, because like you just like wearing those gis. I trained for a long time with Leo in there. Wearing those gis, like, I don't know, it's a whole different. I recommend it for everybody, just to go.
Oh yeah.
Not to think you're a badass or whatever, but just to kind of. And you know what? It actually creates the totally opposite.
Yeah.
If you go into jiu-jitsu wanting to be a badass because you know how to protect yourself, you become the opposite. You don't even want to fight anymore.
Nope.
because
And
it's
and and the crazy part is, it humbles you.
yeah, it
Um,
does.
you go in there, what you thought used to be somebody big and bad is totally different. If
Yeah,
I go anywhere, I'm looking at the skinny nerdy dude, who's
yeah.
like 145 pounds, maybe with some glasses. That's the scariest dude that you need to watch out for, man. Not the
Yeah,
big dudes, man. I'll take a big dude any
yeah.
day versus the little nerdy guys, man. They'll
Yeah,
kill you with their legs.
oh shit. Yeah, the big guys would just gas out with give them 15 minutes, then we gassed out. Nice, man. So, what are you? Blue belt, purple belt,
Yeah,
black?
it's been a blue belt forever, bro. But
Nah, it's all good.
I was a white belt forever too. And honestly, I don't, dude. A lot of people is something they want to get. To me, it don't matter, man. I
Yeah,
just love being there. And if I'm a blue belt for the next 5 years, I'll be a blue belt or
yeah.
white. I don't get it. To me, I just, like I said, I love being the nail, and once in a while, I get to be the hammer. But for
Yeah.
the most part, I'm cool with it, man.
Nice. Hey, so let's get more into some current events.
Sure.
How is the city going about like the coronavirus? So let me get your opinion on this. Is it true or fake, the coronavirus? Because there's a lot of
Well, I will
inform.
tell you that it is probably 100% true.
Okay.
If you ask anybody of our neighbors in New York or any of these other areas that have been, hit hard,
Yeah.
who have lost family members, it's definitely true, man. We're lucky that we don't have it as bad as those places, but there is a potential.
Yeah.
And so we've taken the proper steps, at least at the courthouse, where we haven't been and conducting in-person hearings. We're doing them just the way we are right now,
Yeah.
through Zoom and other means of technology. But it definitely is true. So for all the people saying it's 5G, it's Bill Gates or somebody who
Yeah.
made this, and they're trying to. Yeah, I don't know, man. You might be smoking a little too much or
Yeah.
something, dude. But I definitely think it's real. Coronavirus is real.
How are y'all like as far as I don't know if you're part of this team, but I'm pretty sure the city has like a health team, and so like I know that I think it's tomorrow they're starting to do like the 20%
Right.
occupancy, right? So is that based off of some kind of game plan, or they're just kind of saying,
Yeah.
okay, you know what, let's try it and see what happens?
So what they're kind of doing is curtailing or following or making it as same as the governor's orders, right?
Okay.
So you'll have a few different orders. You have obviously the presidential order that he issues. Then you have the governor's order. Then you have the county order, like Judge Canales, and then you have
Okay.
each city individual order, right? Like the city of Corpus can make theirs stricter. The city of Robstown can make theirs stricter, as opposed to the county and state and so on and so on. But the that's why they're doing the 25% type of occupancy stuff with all the restaurants and stuff. But we're gonna see how it goes. They will be enforcing it. You'll have a PD out there making those enforcements. I would say at least in the very highly populated areas to make sure that they're doing it. But we just need it's kind of an honor system, to be honest. I see all these crazy pictures of people at the beach and just cars like it's spring break, man. And
Yeah.
for me and my family, I'm not gonna risk it. We've been staying home. I maybe go to my father-in-law's ranch where there ain't nobody else there, just us. I'm not gonna go to the beach. If the malls open up, I'm not going to the malls. I'm not gonna go eat at a restaurant, even if it is 25%.
Yeah.
I'll order takeout still. It's just not worth the risk to me. And if some people want to go, I might go to jujitsu. If that opens up, I'm going. But other things. If it's if you want to do a risk, I don't hold that against you. You can do whatever you
Yeah.
want to do. But for me and my family, I think we're gonna chill for a little bit. You know what they say in chess? The pawns go first. I ain't trying to be a pawn, man. I'm gonna kick back. I'm gonna kick back.
So let me ask you. So, Abbott, right? What's the mayor? Right? I mean, what is the Texas governor, right?
Governor Abbott.
Governor
Right.
Abbott. He gets his orders from who?
Nope. The state of Texas and him make those orders.
Okay, and then he just kind of says, okay, this is what we're doing, but as a city of Corpus, y'all can kind of modify them if y'all like.
So a lot of times the cities and counties can be a little bit more restrictive. You know what I mean? Just not less restrictive. So the governor says, I don't want, no less than 10 people. Then the county can say we want no more groups than 5 people. But they
Okay.
can't go above the governor and
Okay.
say we want 15 people. You
Yeah.
can only get smaller, not bigger. Less restrictive, more restrictive, not less restrictive than the governor's orders.
So just, I mean, if you don't have the answer to this, that's fine. But
Sure.
does our city have like the information and the people to deal with something like what we're going through?
I think that's not just our problem, probably
Mhm.
throughout the state of Texas. I think testing is something that we've shown that it's really been one of the things that we haven't done,
Yeah.
at least to what I would think would be appropriate.
Mm.
We don't know. Dude, I found one of my buddies, a guy I go to jiu-jitsu with, he felt sick. He had it. They tested him, they screened him, and he had antibodies, which means that he actually had it. This is like back in December when he actually said he felt really bad for like 6 weeks, man. And so I think there are a lot of people that probably had it, maybe carried it, and we won't know that until they actually got tested.
Yeah.
And so I think that was one of the main ways that we can impact and make sure that we're on top of everything is to just have testing, man. And even private practices are doing it now. A few doctors in town are starting to do their own private testing. And so it's out there, which is good for people if they want it for that peace of mind.
Yeah.
And so I know that definitely if I had fever or symptoms, I'd be going to get tested, for sure.
Yeah. Are you a part of like the communication process of like what's going on with the city economically, like with the?
No. So a lot of the stuff I don't really deal with unless I ask. I'm sure they'll tell me. But there's the emergency management team that is headed by the county and Judge Canales, obviously, and they have members of that. Probably every department head and every person will have somebody assigned to that. We have a person from our office assigned to that emergency management team. And so I'm sure the city is a separate entity from the county.
Yeah.
And so
How do they pick those people?
They'll ask the department head, and like me, they said, we would like somebody from your office to be a part of this team. You can designate somebody, and then I designate somebody that I want, and then they'll report back to me any of the information that's received by the team.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's just each department head's kind of deciding who they want in on it. A lot of times, I like to be a part of the stuff as well, so I get information. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. I like going out there and seeing whatever I got needs to be seen.
Yeah. Has any businesses like been like fined or anything for like because there's essential, non-essential?
I know that they've been what they're trying to do is have compliance, right? They don't really want to cite people and hurt them more economically for trying to make sure they keep food on the table for their families. But I did hear one instance where CCPD fined and cited one of these sweepstake places that was doing still open for business. Obviously, that's not essential business, and so they fined those people. And my understanding is they're going forward on those fines.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, what exactly is that? You said sweepstakes, right? What exactly is like what is that kind of business is that? Is that like gambling? Like, cause I know that came up in the news, like.
So it's a very gray area.
Yeah.
We've been actually waiting for the Attorney General to put out like an advisory type of opinion regarding sweepstakes. So you have 8-liners, right? 8-liners are like the machines that go, bing, 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 and then you win money out of the 8-liner.
So are those like?
Those are illegal. If you have an 8-liner machine placed and you're giving out money, it's illegal. That's just the way it is.
Is it illegal because it's like it's programmed to never win?
No, that's not why it's illegal. It's illegal because you're gonna gain economic. The house is gonna make some money, and then the person betting could make some money without a game of skill. It's more of a game of chance. And so the legislator has said that is illegal. And so the sweepstakes, though, it's not like the 8-liners, and it's different. I've read some literature on it, and so it's kind of a gray area because you're not technically. It's not a game of chance. It's kind of
Mm,
hard to explain, and it's still, like I said, it's in a gray area. We're
yeah.
still really trying to wait for the Attorney General's opinion regarding the sweepstakes
So
machines.
where's the attorney general at? Like, is that locally
So
or the state?
he's the Attorney General for the state of Texas.
Okay, and that's probably not one of his concerns at the moment. You think? What?
You know, everybody has different priorities.
Yeah.
It may not be. I'm sure they have tons of things that they have to kind of deal with. I can tell you that our office has to make decisions on what to prioritize,
Yeah.
and we decided that obviously violent crimes is something that we would
Mm,
hope to take more priority over stuff like possession of marijuana
yeah.
or criminal trespass or some of the other types of cases that we decided to cite and release instead of obviously jail and go forward on those types of cases.
Yeah. I see. So the misdemeanors, the low kind of crimes are being okay. You're gonna get fined, or you're gonna do community service, right? So how, is
Right.
the fine is that working? Like the fines, like, are we collecting money for the city based off those fines, or how's
So
that?
I'm proud to report that yes, they're working.
Okay.
We have
Okay.
generated revenue for our county, so
Mm,
the city doesn't get any part of any of the revenue that we actually get from our programs. The county gets some.
okay.
We've generated revenue for our office, which supplements some of our salaries. So like we have lawyers, right? We need more lawyers, but some of the programs that we actually have pays the salaries of those lawyers, so that way
Mm,
it's not coming from tax dollars. It's not
okay.
coming from the general fund or from the budget that we have. As well as that every time somebody doesn't go to jail, then we're saving the county money because
Mm.
if you go to jail, we have to feed you, right?
How much does that
We
cost
got
to have someone in jail
so,
daily?
so somebody goes to jail. It's $81 a night,
Dang.
and the average stay for anybody, even for possession of marijuana or anything else, is typically 2.5 days.
Mm.
And so in 8 months that we've had our program, and it's almost going to be a year, but these were the numbers that we had before all this coronavirus did. 952 people did not go to jail. That means that we saved the county almost $1 million just by those people not going to jail.
Yeah.
That means jailers don't have to watch them, right? Because they're not in
Yeah.
jail. We don't have to feed them because they're not in jail. And if I'm a small business owner, and my dishwasher who smokes pot, maybe I don't know, but he gets caught going to work with a joint, he still gets to go to work. So that
Yeah.
means I have my staff still coming to work, and that person still gets to pick up his kid.
Yeah.
I'm not saying he was high when they caught him. That's a different
Yeah.
story. But those are the types of considerations that we think about whenever we're trying to make these programs. And think about the kid, right? If he's waiting for his parents to come pick him up and he gets thrown in jail, how is that going to affect him? We don't
Yeah.
think about those things all the time. And so it's really, really important we think about every single detail whenever we're talking about the criminal justice system, whether we're incarcerating someone or we choose not to incarcerate someone.
Yeah. I see. I see what you're saying. That's pretty good. The strategy right there of just trying to look at it, not as like putting because I think it's like most DAs kind of try to put as much people in jail to kind of
Yeah,
it's an
but
ego thing, right?
well, it hasn't worked.
Yeah.
For so long, it hasn't worked. We can't arrest our way out of addiction or
Mm,
drug use.
yeah.
Statistics have shown that because you send someone to jail, that they're not going to use again. That's completely false. There are people who have studied this for years. I mean, you can go to other countries and look at their research. You can look at their social climates, their employment, everything. We got to learn from what works, and that's the bad part. You have some people who think, well, you do the crime, you do the time, that's just
Yeah.
the way it works. But are we fixing that person? Are we making them better than we found them? And I think that when we have that opportunity, we need to take it. And I think that our programs have been doing that. We give people classes, we give them counseling, we give them whatever they need to make them hopefully better. And if they don't want it, that's fine.
Yeah.
They may learn from their mistakes after they make it 2 or 3 times. And maybe they learned after the first time, but we're going to be here to help them either way.
Yeah. Do you see like a potential increase in crimes whenever kind of everybody starts moving around back again? Because I know that like the probation officers are everything's closed, right? Like even like Uh,
Yeah.
the,
So they're reporting by phone, they're reporting by email, they're reporting in alternative ways, and actually going in to report to limit
yeah,
exposure to themselves and to the officer. I don't know. I'm sure they're gonna still and think about it. You know, a lot of people were scared when this lockdown happened that crime was gonna go up, and it's actually been the opposite. So you've
yeah,
had all these people not reporting by in person, and crime still has been going down.
yeah,
So if we're going to look at statistics and the numbers, what is the answer there? What do we learn from those things?
yeah. That's true. Yeah, that's true. All right, Mark. Man, a good conversation, man. And
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
yeah,
Like I said, and I was kind of scared. I'm like, well, shoot, what are we going to talk about?
yeah.
Should I get some numbers from how many cases we have, how many murders we've had, how many people we sent to prison for so many 100 years. They're like, nah, don't worry about it. We'll just talk, and it is
Yeah,
what it is. You know,
yeah, yeah.
we'll talk.
So just like what this is like the massive action is the personal brand that
Right?
that
Yeah,
I
yeah.
that I
I
use.
watch you. I watch you. I watch
Yeah,
you.
and I reach out to a lot of entrepreneurs, business owners, and I like to bring value, because I was once in that position where I learned that ignorance wasn't an excuse, you know, and whenever I realized that, I said, man, you know what, I need to educate myself. And once I got into educating myself and information and understood that, man, there's so much stuff that people can accomplish if they have the information. And so
Oh yeah.
that's just one of my things I want to,
And
like,
you'll be surprised how much people will give you if you ask. Hey, how do you do this? Where did you get that? How can I
yeah,
do this? Don't ever be scared to ask for help. Most people are gonna give it. You
yeah,
know.
yeah. Hey, brother, I appreciate it. Maybe one day we'll get on the mat. We'll go.
Hey,
Hey,
hey, come back, dude. Come back. Come train.
I,
Hey, we're gonna open up again. Come train, dude.
man,
When's the
you know
last
what?
time you were there?
It's been about maybe 3 years.
Really?
I tore both meniscus. Uh, man, I was there 7 days a week. Arnold and Leo probably used to be at my house every weekend. I used to barbecue, and I was,
I probably saw you, man. I can tell you, I've been there, going there since 2011. So
yeah.
come back, dude. Shit.
Nice, man. Nice. Hey, good talking to you, brother. Yeah, we'll definitely connect as things progress with the city. I know next week's gonna be pretty interesting to see how, once everybody kind of gets out of the house and starts to interact, and maybe we can come back and kind of see if something's changed and
Anytime, man.
talk about it.
Anytime. Let me know, bro.
All right, brother. Later.
All right, man. Stay strong.
All
Later,
right.
bro.